Yes, that's, as Jake said, that's me then. What I intend to do for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, maybe even a little bit longer, but I am hoping to catch the last train out of here, is read you some poems and then go away. That's basically the shape of it. There is nothing else to it. Madam, could you... Sorry? I'm about 3 inches taller than Jude. So if you were paying attention earlier, you can do the math. Or... about 7.5 centimetres taller than Jude, who is 5'11". You do the math with the slide rule. What I'm good. Are we any more questions? No. I'm happy to do. I can go either way. Quite frankly, We can do the poems or we can do questions. I've heard all the poems before, to be honest. So quite frankly, I'd like to do the questions. So if there are any other questions, let's hear them.
When are you going to start speaking poetry?
Good question. Sir, could you be kind enough to just come over here for a moment for me? No, just stand here. You're in my way there. They can't see me. Can you just shuffle those for me? That's all I need you to. I'm going to start off with a poem that I quite often start off with. And because I quite often start off with a poem, because it's a good sort of poem to start off with, I quite often start off with it, which means I hear it a lot. And in order these days, so that I don't have to listen to the same poem time and time again, I've written down each separate stanza on a separate card here. This gentleman, what's your name, sir? Doug. Doug is shuffling those. No, you're just looking at them all. Oh, that's very kind. Lovely. That's very good. Okay, shuffle. Can you shuffle a bit further? Just because they might think we're colluding here. Brilliant. Doug, are they shuffled?
Very well shuffled.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Round of applause for Doug, please. Thank you. Lovely. And so you get to hear a poem that nobody's ever heard before. I get to read a poem that nobody's ever read before, because it is entirely randomly ordered now, which provides a little bit of spice into my life. This is about the only spice, but that's fine. This poem is approximately 2,500 years of Heat magazine, compressed into about 2.5 minutes of contemporary rhymed English verse. And this week, it goes like this. Luther Vandross auditioned once for Bros, but he couldn't reach the high notes naturally. Paul Daniels has fairly normal balls, at least and according to Debbie McGee. Johnny Depp, physically a wreck, only held together by a sellotape string. Robert De Niro can count up to 0 using his fingers and his toes and his thing. Richard E. Grant is really just a plant, reporting conversation to the KGB. Bob Geldof is quite well off, but he never ever lent a fiver to me. Jeremy Hardy and Linda Lusardi have nothing in common except for their names. St. Thomas Aquinas likes to remind us exercising rigorously leads to sprains. Gustav Klimt walked with a limp, thinking all the while of ladies in the nude. Uri Geller bent an umbrella, attempting to use it for something rather rude. Paul Gauguin had a white van, but he couldn't get the petrol in 1882. Vincent van Gogh was a bit of a toff, and he wouldn't have spoken to a person like you. Not you, Doug. Obviously, your Graham meant the lady next to you there. Dame Judi Dench has got her own bench that only she can sit on by the Serpentine. Boris Johnson is my best chum because he put Dame Judy's bench next to mine. Abraham Lincoln would have one drink and dance around the whites with the trousers undone. Haile Selassie designed his own chassis on the first trip out, drove over a nun. J.R.R. Tolkien liked to go walking, sing to himself with the songs from Cats. Plato and Homer met while in a coma, astrally projecting their own wearing hats. Sir Ian McKellen would travel to Helland back for a taste of Bombay duck. Nicole Kidman pointed at my shin where the snake had bitten, offered me a suck. Salvador Dali shot on safari, an elephant, a rhino in his own left foot. Seamus Heaney is really quite teeny, climbs up the chimney to eliminate the soot. Alfred Lord Tennyson can only eat venison on alternate Wednesdays with ladies from Paris. Roger McGough can only get off by an accident rubbing of ointment on his knee. Thank you. David Bowie doesn't really know he invented Dada in 1917. Andre Breton is getting a sweat on, bombarded by gamma rays, is turning rather green. Eric Von Daniken stands like a mannequin in the lingerie departments of department stores. Richard Burton's hid behind the curtains wearing a skirt and ladies his drawers. George Bernard Shaw had a beautiful snore which sounded like the rustle of a zephyr in the breeze. Samantha Fox bought shares and stocks in people who say thank you but don't say please. Jean-Paul Sartre loved a Bakewell tart, but Simone wouldn't let him even have a little taste. Albert Camus knew exactly what to do, and he never let a lively little nibble go to waste. Dalai Lama has only one pyjama. He irons it for hours to get a nice crease. Lady Chatterley has recently and latterly been making frank calls to the fire and police. Hildegard of Bingen lives on a wing and a prayer and a promise of the paradise to come. Julian of Norwich, while stewing on her porridge, told Hildegard of Bingen to shove it up her bum. So that's that. Thank you. Out of the way. It's nice. I'd like to thank you, Doug, for that shuffle. That was a very good shuffle. It's nice to end on like a note of religious mysticism there. Middle Ages ladies battling it out in the who can be more mystical stakes. It's I see a image of the city of God. I've got a hazelnut. Brilliant stuff. Obviously, not every audience understands all the references to Christian mystics of the 12th and 13th century. Okay. Books. This is the part of the show where I work through the books, the three of them here. I'm going to read a couple of poems from each of them, then move on to other poems, and then stop. That's it. This book, I Eat Squirrels, book of children's poetry, £7. They're all £7. Sorry? They're all only £7. That's the correct price point. Best to get this right. I Eat Squirrels, children's poems, but I'm going to insult you with some anyway. Good thing about children's poems, they're often quite short. Any centipedes in the room? Okay, this is a poem about a centipede with particularly bad personal hygiene. Another thing to point out, if you don't like poems, there are pictures in the book here, so you don't have to read the poems, you can just buy it for the pictures. If you don't like pictures either, then because it's poetry, but there is quite a lot of blank space on some of the pages. You can buy the book, just do your own pictures, do your own poems, whatever you want. Look at that, almost half a page there. It's brilliant, all yours. So this is about centipedes. Bad hygiene, big bar of soap in the picture, very good. You can't impede the scent of a centipede any more than a centipede can. He's tried to wash more often, in fact it's a personal goal, but every time he turns on the tap he's swept straight down to the hole. This is called A Nice Tune. When Sydney the Snake decided to take piano lessons, they lasted seconds. Headbutting the keys didn't please Mrs. Hosanna, who owned the piano. She slammed the lid, which did for Sid. Okay, this is called Not the Best Poem in the World. If my imaginative powers were stronger, this poem would probably be longer. Kids' poems are going quite well. I think I'll carry on with this for a moment. And it's called Fish. Very good picture of a fish there. Obviously, to see it better, buy the book. Fish. Why are fish so happy? All they do is swim and feed. But they never wear a nappy, so they swim in what they've peed. That's that. Anatomically correct. I don't think any of you have ever seen a fish get out of the fish tank to go to the toilet. I'm willing to be proved otherwise. I don't know what that sentence means. Willing to be proved otherwise. It's an entomological, not entomological. That's studying insects. That's madness. Epistemological fallacy. This book's called Postcards from the Hedgehog. It's the red book. £7, only £7. Plankton. Some plankton I know had difficulty getting to sleep at night. Went out and bought a relaxation tape. Pacific whale song. Didn't help much.